afternoon, Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suaveless day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence the pay.
Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous.
Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us.
Divine social interactions remains marvelous.
Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled, Dr. Brother Suave.
Divine light give you double.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and your host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. I'm so happy to be back. Listen, I've been gone for, about 3 weeks. Now I just had a transition from moving from the Midwest back to the A. So it's been some challenges, and it wasn't impossible, but I experienced some challenges, set me back financially. But of course, with my I can attitude, because you know I can is much easier than I can. So I had to make it happen. And again, you know, it's about persevering and believing in yourself and having the ability to know that you can get through whatever you go through, because there is nothing that's impossible, you know. And you have to stop worrying about the small things. So I made a conscious decision to speak these things into reality, and here we go. So I'm happy to be back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. Today we're going to be having a very special guest. Just tell you a little bit about I guess I was taking one of my life coaching classes, just getting some more certs, and met this person, serious look. But, you know, I always honor my discernment. And that's one of the things I always talk about. Pay attention to your discernment. Do not second guess your discernment. Your discernment is not your enemy. It's your friend. And so anyway, and I remember approaching the person like, excuse me, just because you're looking serious, don't mean you're going to intimidate me and think I'm not going to say hi to you and not say something to you, even crack a joke. And I did. And I'm glad I did. Because this person's brilliant. This person's a wellness coach. Gave me some powerful information about improving my health. And, you know, I was always been health conscious. But again, I wasn't a professional. I didn't know the things she knew. So that being said, I'm going to just give a little reading about her. So my special guest tonight on Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave is Miss Ta-Wanda Wilson. She's the founder of the Road to Wellness program, the creator of 8 essential lifestyle functions, and the author of the book Breaking My Family's Poor Health Change. Her science-based holistic practice focuses on helping people with chronic diseases such as rebuild, repair, and recover the bodies naturally. So Ta-Wanda's deep understanding of health and wellness is grounded in her family's experience of high blood pressure, diabetes, and cancer. After learning how her family's choice played a major role in their lives, she decided to take a different path. Ta-Wanda adopted the vegan diet along with many other holistic practices and chose to raise her 3 children with the very same principles. And now she teaches clients all over the globe. So without further ado, let's welcome the wonderful and beautiful and talented Miss Ta-Wanda Wilson. Hey!
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing suaveless, absolutely suaveless.
I love it. I love it. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes.
Since I put eyes on you.
I see you. Listen, thank you so much. Listen, I'm excited, and I know the people and the listeners are excited because, again, we love to get empowered on Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. You know, again, I'm always talking about from a social, spiritual, and clinical. So today we're going to be dealing with some social issues, talking about health and wellness. And so before we start, I know I just read a little small brief description of you, but I would like you to just tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Tell them a little bit about me. Ooh, let's see. There's so much to know. All right. Let's see. So as you said, holistic health practitioner, wellness educator for a really long time. And it's a way of life, you know, and I think that's one of the beautiful things that allows me to help clients, because I'm able to really understand where they're coming from. I have three amazing children that I raised in a lifestyle, and it was a tough road, but I'm glad I actually went down the road to actually start breaking those poor health family chains that we had.
Mm-hmm.
And whew, what else? Um, I enjoy what I do. That's just me. That's me.
Yes. Yes. And over the years of knowing you, I definitely don't I just have to be real. It never seems like you're working, but you're changing the lives of everybody. So you obviously it's not work for you. It's a lifestyle.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely, absolutely.
yes,
I think that's the beauty of it. When you know, they say when you find something that you enjoy and that you're passionate about, you never work a day in your life. And I truly, truly believe that.
yes,
It's when I think I had a period where I was not, you know, seeing clients, and it when I got back, it was a whole different energy for me. Like it really brings life, like to actually help someone go through something and get on the other side of it, or for them to get more out of their body than they even expected or knew could happen, and for their body to naturally innately heal itself. Like it's every time there is a transformation or a transition is beautiful for me.
yes. And the thing is, it's wonderful because, like, you know, a lot of times people are having these careers and they just feel drained. You always feel with energy. So I guess that's a testament of healthy lifestyle. Your skin is always tight, you're always in shape, and you're always looking swabtabulous, you know, and you have this amazing attitude each and every time I speak with you. And so, how you doing, brother James Dixon? And so, I just really enjoy that. So, it's a testament of living a very healthy lifestyle. This is not something that you do periodically. This is from day one when you decide to make that change and you stay committed to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been now what, 29, almost 30 years ago.
Tell
So
me, who's it at? 29 years almost?
yeah, yeah, before it became popular, right?
Yes,
Now it's the thing to do. But back then they were like, wait a minute, what? You're a vegetarian? What do you mean? Like that was
yes,
a whole different thing.
yes, yes. And so, so let me ask you something just to start off, you know, just a little small talk.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about, because from what I know, you didn't start off this way, but then you started your children off this way.
Yeah.
And so in the bio, you notice that some of the choices that your family members made, you decide to make a choice. And I know a lot of times people have their epiphanies after crisis. So was a crisis a part of your life to make you make the change?
You know, initially, if you had asked me this probably about 4 weeks ago, I would have said no. But I had a aha moment. The
Yes.
crisis wasn't with me; it was with my a family member, my grandmother. So
Uh-huh.
I actually saw my grandmother. My grandmother had lung cancer, and she was in the hospital. And they basically said, like, there's nothing else that we can do for you. And I was in the room, and I was about 9 or 10. And I remember like hearing that and being like, what? Wait a minute. What do you mean you can't do anything for her? Like, you got to help her. This is a hospital. That was probably my traumatic issue. I didn't realize, you know, that I was going to go down this road of health and wellness. But that would be the thing that I would look back at and go, yeah, I just wanted to help people. And I didn't want anybody to go down the road that I went down of losing a family member, especially after I found out that high blood pressure, diabetes, some cancers, all of this stuff was considered a lifestyle disease, right? Meaning that the things that we were doing in our day-to-day basis were the cause of some of the issues happening. So for me, that was probably my traumatic experience.
Mhm.
And that was the reason why I actually changed my lifestyle, starting my senior year of high school.
Okay.
So
Wow.
not, you know, directly an issue, but something that I saw and just did not want to have to get worse for me.
Yeah, you know what? But I like that because a lot of times, you know, people always say experience is the best teacher. And you know me, I'm always contradicting everything. I'm like, listen, I don't need to have the experience to teach me. I can learn through your experiences. You understand? I can learn through
Absolutely.
your hardships. I can learn through your pain. So, because I don't want to experience that pain, I just gonna watch you and what you've been through, and that's a great teaching experience for me. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and so
absolutely.
I love that because so many people have their experiences as a result of their poor decision and hardships. And I'm like, listen to the words of the wise, and the experiences of those people is a teaching experience. I don't want the experience, you know.
Absolutely. You know what? I think if one of the things, if I could have all of my clients come to me because they want to make sure that their health is good, like I would love it. I would have a clinic work, you know, of just people like, oh yeah, but that's not the case. Most of us, but you also have to remember, and you being in the, you know, in the therapy world, you know that we move off of emotions, right?
Yeah.
And something traumatic or something, I shouldn't say traumatic, but something has to happen outside of us in order for us to make a change or a shift, right?
Yes.
So a lot of times it does end up being something that's, you know, really, really bad or affecting our life or lifestyle or whatever in a traumatic way. I wish, though, that people were just deciding that they wanted to be healthier and then saying, hey, I don't know where to start. I need to, you know, do something. What can you do? What can you help me with? Let's just look at my blood work or whatever it is, right? So I wish that was the case, but that's not generally how humans work.
Yeah. Great. I just want to give a special shout out to my mentor, Brother Wally. He was just saying your health is your wealth. Great topic and information for people. Food is your medicine. So you mentioned something about oh man, you know, you're trying to write these little notes down and remember. But anyway, I'm going to just respond to that. So when we say food is medicine, as he just said, certain foods are medicine.
Yeah. Well, food is medicine. Is I think you would have to decide what you consider food, right? And that
Yeah.
may be what you're trying to go to. So we have
Yeah.
a lot of processed products that we call food. That's not actually food. So that tends to do the opposite of what we're actually trying to do. But if it came from nature and it's food, like food can be medicine. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So I got just a few things I just wanted to think about. So I'm gonna just jump in and do, because what I realized, processed foods, junk food, all those are foods. But we have all these foods that we consider like healthy fats, good fats, bad fats.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of food that can really create diabetes? Because we used to always think sugar was always so good because it's just really tasty. And then we thought breads are so good because some people are addicted to breads. And then you hear about rices. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, I was like, well, sugar is super addictive. But then I realized people seem like they're addicted to bread, and they also have to have rice with everything.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. So now you're getting into my
thing?
territory. Now I'm about to pull the hair down and get all into this. So listen. So first, let me say this: people have diabetes for different reasons. One of the things that we've been taught is that generally you get diabetes because you're eating too much sugar or bread, pasta, rice, potato, and all of that stuff, right? But you can have diabetes because your stress levels are high, and it can push you into diabetes. You can have diabetes because your hormones are imbalanced, right? So there are many different reasons you can have diabetes, which is why when we look at health and wellness from a narrow scope of practice and think that there's a one size fit all, it doesn't work. And that's why there's so much misinformation and miseducation out there, because we hear something that works, or the doctor gives us something that works because it worked for one person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for somebody else. Right. So that's my disclaimer. But now let's get into the foods. So bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, all of those type of things do break down into sugar. So it affects the body, and it can affect the body in the same way. When we say processed foods, you also have to mention ultra processed foods, right? Because there's a difference in the two. A processed food could be apple. Let's say a whole food is apple. Processed food is applesauce. But a Pop-Tart can be an apple Pop-Tart is ultra processed, right? So if I'm eating a processed, which is, let's say, just applesauce, and it's just me cooking the apple, mashing it up, and then eating it like that, it's processed because it's no longer in its natural state. So you have to understand the difference. And again, that's where a lot of the miseducation, that food is still processed, but it's not as bad as that Pop-Tart, which actually has no nutritional value, and it's not even an apple anymore, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful of kind of what we're eating in that realm. So, but bread, pasta, rice, potatoes will definitely affect the body. There's some fruits and vegetables that for certain people will raise their glycemic index outside of the norm. But it's not just one food and one time of you eating that's going to cause diabetes. It's the things that you're doing on a regular day-to-day basis and what you're doing more of than not. And then also possibly what else is going on in the body. Most people that are diabetic generally are deficient in vitamins and minerals, right? So you have to look at that as well, because some people will say, well, I stopped eating sugar and I stopped eating all that stuff a long time ago. But what was going on in your body? Did you correct the effects that were happening when you were eating the bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, and sugar, right? So you have to look at that as well.
Good evening, cousins. My cousin Sabrina came on the show. So again, it's almost like if a person was using drugs for years, and then all of a sudden they live in a healthy lifestyle. Not because they're not living a healthy lifestyle. It's just the fact that all the damage that they've done to the body prior to. So it's the same thing. So when we decided to, eating bad for a lifestyle, and I remember my dad would always say, cry now, laugh later. You sacrifice so you can, have a healthy lifestyle, because when you get older, it's really, you done did so much damage to your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, and everything. So as you get older, although you're eating healthy, it's just some things are irreversible.
Well, I won't say irreversible, but it's just that we're not paying attention to it. So there was a study that was done, and it was a military, some military young guys, and he ended up being a cadaver. He died, and they were doing some research on his body. He was 19. And when they went to look at his arteries, he already had plaques starting in his arteries. So he's 19. You would think that a 19-year-old has, impeccable health, right? But what that showed was that it starts a lot earlier than we think. We're thinking that we have to get into our 30s and 40s before we start having health issues. And that's when we start really taking a notice of our health. But what has happened is you're in this, what I like to call a health purgatory state, right? You're in this state where your body is starting to not feel like it's supposed to, or that you're used to, but you don't necessarily have a disease yet, and your doctor can't find anything when you go, but it doesn't mean that you're healthy. And then that goes along with, kind of what I wrote in my book, like, how do you know you're healthy? We base our health off of how we look and how we feel. Earlier you mentioned, oh, you look great. So people go, oh, you look good, you work out, you have this, amazing, physique, you must be healthy. And that is not the case.
No, it is not the case. Case in point, I had a friend of mine, and he's always looked good. I'm talking about skin is perfect, always worked out. And I'm talking about worked out, stayed in shape, and not to overdo it workout, just to work out. You're like, Dad, you should be a model. And always took care of himself. And when I found out he had, I think it was a heart attack, but poor liver, his lungs, and everything was damaged in the inside. I'm like, no, he looked like he was in perfect shape.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he had a lot of major health issues.
Right.
And even for myself, I always stayed in shape. I don't know if you remember I told you, I think it was during the pandemic, and I was telling you, I'm like, I was feeling weird, and I was jotting down. Remember you say pay attention. So I paid attention to me having to use the restroom a lot. I was dehydrated. I kept drinking water. I was like, man, because now I always drink water, but I was drinking water more, and I was kept getting up in the middle of the bathroom more than I ever have. And then I was like, what is going on with me? And then and I jotted all those things down that I was experiencing. I remember going to the doctor. I was like, this is just not normal. And I remember they were saying that I was having diabetes. I'm like, whoa, me? Nah. Not the person who's vegetarian for 28 years. Not the person who don't drink, smoke, like not me.
Yeah.
Not me. You remember I was all emotional, like, no, man. That's why I was sacrificed. That's why I ate, because I would never have health issues. And then I'm like, this is incredible. And you're right. It's just things. And I remember during that pandemic, we're in the house, and I remember my whole eating changed.
Yep.
And so I was eating things that I wouldn't normally do, and that was crazy for me, and I had to make some change. That's why I was asking, getting your advice on things,
Yeah.
And
so there's
by the way, do you know Arena Lyons?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Oh, is she saying hello to me?
Yes, I think she had came in the studio, but I think it was by accident.
That's my sister.
Okay. Hey, Arena.
It's Renee.
Renee, that's what I said. You didn't hear me.
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you completely.
No,
well, so Melissa, I want to say something to what you just said. There's a couple different things, right? So first, with your friend that you were talking about, what we have to understand is that there is a hierarchy to health, right? So what that means is you can look good, you can feel good, you can do all that stuff. But let's say he's been eating healthy, right? But he has some digestive issues, meaning that so let's say the digestive issues he was constipated. So bowels and all that good stuff, microbiome not working like it's supposed to. Well, how do we get the nutrients from the very foods that we're eating? They have to be absorbed into the, they have to go through the digestive system, and then all of those nutrients get into the bloodstream. Well, if your digestive system is off, then you're not going to get the nutrients that you need to get. And so that means that your cells are not going to get the nutrients that it needs to get. So then the body can't function like it's supposed to. So it can cause issues, right? Even with, and now switching to when you were talking about eating some of the foods that you were eating during the pandemic, one of the things that a lot of people weren't doing, we were eating a little bit more, but we were doing a little bit less with our activity, but also we were stressing, right? We were stressing over, oh my God, I can't go anywhere, and what this is going to happen, and what if this, and I don't want to hurt my family member and all this. So that stress actually affects the body. It affects the body in a major way. And then, of course, now, and they talked about us looking at more Netflix and doing all this other stuff, right? So now we're looking at TV. We're probably falling asleep with the TV on, which means that we're not getting the good sleep that we needed to. We had lights on. Like I have a lot of lights on, now. That's something that we don't want to do once we start once it's nighttime, because melatonin needs to start being released, and it can't be released in a lot of light. So the things we don't know nobody's taught us how to be healthy, right? So we don't know what things to look out for and what we should be doing differently. And sometimes it has to come from someone outside of you so that you can really know what's going on. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote Breaking My Family's Poor Health Chain, is because I wanted people to know, help, my health is in trouble. Where do I start? Let's start here. Okay. So that they could have a place to kind of get some of this information.
Yeah, because I generally always stay healthy. But again, these factors that I didn't even think about, the pandemic, staying in, I wasn't as active as I used to. I wasn't getting the proper rest. The TV on was 24/7. And again, Netflix, Hulu, and all those things watching. Yeah. And it's and then you're your anxiety is increasing because you're like, I want to go out. But then you're like, you always having in the back of your mind, I don't want to be exposed. And those are little stressors, and normally we say we're not stressed, but it's just different levels, and we find ourselves being stressed. So thank you for that. What I'm going to do is just so we can have some station identifications, and we'll be right back.
What's up, everyone? I'm Brandy the Disconnector, wife, show host, entrepreneur, investor, and ICS certified life coach, here to tell you that I'm on NPNTv, the network that is by us and for us. Lock in and let's get it.
We're back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave and a very special guest, Miss Ta-Wanda Wilson. I guess you probably went off by accident, but we'll be right back. But I guess so excited about what we're learning today, talking about issues. I didn't know some of these things are dealing with natural foods, processed foods, and ultra processed food. And I guess, we're learning, and I'm so excited about us learning about these things because, again, I was a vegetarian for years, and things I didn't know. I didn't know about how I was stressed during the pandemic, not being able to go out and enjoy myself like I would normally do, and constantly thinking about catching the virus, the coronavirus, and constantly washing my hands and being conscious of those things. And I guess those would cause stressors. So I'm happy. I'm learning this thing. So another thing, the funny thing is, wrote some notes here, these processed foods. And when he was talking about stress levels and hormones, man, whoever thought that hormones would give us diabetes or those can contribute to us getting diabetes. And anyway, I'm super excited. I hope that we can get her back on. She'll be back on. Just probably experiencing, she probably hit it by accident. But anyway, we're gonna get this thing going, and hopefully, we can probably go back into a commercial break until she be able to get her back on.
Programs like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBoosters Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPNTv from viewers like you. Thank you. Shows like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlisters Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPNTv from viewers like you. Thank you. Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard?
All right. We apologize for that. What happened is our very special guest, Sista Ta-Wanda, got kicked off with some technical difficulties. Unfortunately, we're going to carry on the show without her, and we can definitely try to bring her back in a couple of weeks or so. Sorry about that. And so we're going to continue to talk on our issues of health. Wasn't necessarily prepared, but I'm definitely ready. So what we're going to do is probably have on some people to come on and replace her at the last minute. And also one of my mentors who always stands in the paint for me, very knowledgeable of health and wellness himself, also in the martial arts and always eating healthy his lifetime. I mean, I'm just wanted to just hear his points about how he eats once a day and has full of energy, but also I know he exercises on a daily basis. So hopefully he'll be able to come on. I just sent him a quick text, and see, just wonder if he'd be able to acknowledge it. So so I'm just waiting. So anyway, again, our health is our wealth, and we all got to try to stay healthy. I try to stay healthy myself, get my exercise in, minimum of 30 minutes a day. Always drink plenty of water, keep myself hydrated, and always responding now. And these are the things, because again, we have to be mindful of what we eat, what we put in our body, and how we take care of ourselves, but also the mental health component. We have to be able to try to marginalize the stress levels that we have on our daily basis. And we always hear stress kills, but we don't do a lot of things to minimize that stress in terms of toxic relationships, bad eating, drinking, smoking, and everything you do in moderation. But also we have to be mindful of how we overdo it and overindulging, because it's definitely not good to overindulge. And so he did respond. So we'll be having him on in a few, and I'm happy. So Mr. Wayne Davis, how you doing? What's her name of her book? I'll tell you right now. Her book is hold on right now. Just give me 1 second, and I'll tell you the name of her book. All right. The name of her book is called Breaking My Family's Poor Health Chain. So I'm going to type it in the comment box. Okay. There you go. All right, Wayne, if you check in the comments, I put the name of her book. Okay. Did you get that? If you did, let me know. So again, thank you. And so again, we have to always be mindful of health. Some of the topics I really wanted to ask her about dealing with does she know about any foods that lead to depression? Because you always know these having all these other issues. And then I also wanted to know, are there any foods that's good for our mental health? I was really I'm excited about asking those questions. But again, we definitely going to have her back on because we want to get this information because this information is vital for me, it's vital for you, it's vital for our community, our world, because we know a lot of us do not have the best of health. Even when we think we have the best of health, we don't always, because we're not always educated in the things. Because for years I didn't know bread and rice were sugars. You know, I ate my moderate levels of bread and I ate my moderate levels of rice, but I did not know how it converted. So again, I'm happy to learn these things. Okay. Oh my God, you're back. Ah, yes.
Listen,
Yes.
I've been working over here trying to get that.
Yes, yes. And before we go, I just got to tell my brother, Brother Wally, to tell him thank you that you're back, because this is my mentor. He always come in.
Oh,
any
you had
time.
somebody on standby.
No, I didn't.
Smart.
I didn't. It's just the fact that he's always my he always have my back. And I was just talking about I'm happy because I had some questions for you because all these health issues. And so I wanted to because one of the persons his name was Dwayne. He came on. He wanted to know the name of your book. I gave it to him, and the name of the book. And so Renee, she said, "Yay!" So I'm glad you're back. So anyway, let's get this thing going, because when you get into your swing, because
let's go. I'm ready.
Yes. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Is there any foods that can lead to depression?
Sugar, like sugary foods lead to depression. It also leads to having more issues with Alzheimer's and dementia as well, because sugar depletes the body of vitamins and minerals. So sugary foods.
Yes. Because I was just wondering, because these questions are not just for me, but for the listening audience, because we're getting educated.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And so
absolutely.
And so another thing's like, when we was talking earlier, it was probiotics. I couldn't remember that when it comes talking about our digestive system. And
say that one more time.
I think you were saying something about our digestive system. So one of the things I had in my mind was talking about probiotics. So I know I'm super regular, but I don't know if it's just because I'm sensitive to certain things or what. But I occasionally, once a week, drink me a probiotic drink out of Publix. Now, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, because you know how they market things and say, "Oh, probiotic," and then you start saying it, and you're doing this, and really it's not in our best interest. You know how things go in phases. Remember back in the day it was ginseng, and now it's it's vegan.
Now it's sea moss.
Yes, sea moss. And now it's probiotic. So it's like, things go around. Get your ginseng. So are these probiotic things I'm drinking doing me any service, or just putting more sugar in my system, or what?
So say the last. You said, do you need to put any more?
Am I drinking these probiotic drinks?
Oh, gotcha.
And does it really benefit me, or I just got caught up in the market?
No, they may very well benefit you. It depends upon again, that's one of those questions where if I answer it, depending upon the drink, right? It depends upon what drink you're getting, what's in it, how much is in it, what probiotics it have in it, and then what your body needs. Also, what your microbiome looks like, right? You may let's say if the drink has sugar in it, or if it's a fermented drink, it may not benefit you, but it could benefit somebody else. Right. So it just depends upon what's going on, which is why I always say find somebody and have them help you with your specific issues that you have going on. There are gut tests that you can do to find out what your microbiome look like, what your gut bugs look like. And so you may have more good bugs than bad bugs, and you may need to have more harmony in between those. So you may need to up certain microbiome and also lessen others. So, when people get cravings for, let's say, sugar cravings, generally your gut bugs are making you have those cravings, which means you probably have more sugar bugs, I'm just saying it in that sense, sugar bugs, than you do others. So they're actually making you crave that food. So we want to make sure that we are looking at our body in its totality, and then looking to see like what we need to do. Let's not just guess, let's actually test and see what's going on, so that we have good information, and then we can go from there. Because that's kind of what a lot of people do, maybe even your friend, right? We're not looking at our blood in the way that we need to. We're not looking at our digestive system, which is our second brain, in the way that we need to. We're just assuming that we're doing all the right things, and we're not getting any information until it's too late. So let's be proactive instead of reactive with the choices that we're making. So they very well, it could be a good drink for you, depending upon what type of drink it is and what's actually in it.
Yes, because some of our comments was mentioning black seed oil or bitters.
Say it one more time.
Black seed oil or bitters.
Bitters, yeah. Oh, for the digestive system, bitters are good. Black seed oil is good. Yeah, so those are all good. But again, let's see what's actually going on with your body. Let's see how many times you're having bowel movements. Let's see what color your bowel movements are. Let's see if you're how soon you're having bowel movements after you eat. If it's about 10-15 minutes, then you may not be digesting your food or getting the nutrients from your food, like you should, which can cause issues with your digestive system. So there's so many different things, around it that you really want to kind of look at. So, but yeah, those bitters are beneficial for our liver, with helping our body just do a lot of different things. So bitters are really good.
Yeah. Also, Wallace was saying ginger, turmeric, and something else. Now, listen, I know what you taught me, and I want you to share this with the listening audience, because like a lot of times we go get physicals, but we don't get detailed physicals. And I know you're the one do the tests and the blood work, so we can actually let you know really what's going on. So
Yeah.
Explain to the people the benefits of your testing and the service that you offer.
Gotcha. Oh, good question. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. So the benefits, one, I am what you call, I do some things different. So I'm working with clients to look at their whole health. So what we look at is your baseline, your finish line, and then we create a process for you to go through so that you can get to where it is you're trying to get to. So when we look at blood work, we're looking at it from a different standpoint than your regular doctor. I can take the blood work that your doctor's already taken, but I'm looking at it from a different standpoint. I'm looking at what's possibly trending down the lines if you don't shift and adjust certain things. I'm not looking for disease. He studies pathology and he's looking for disease within the body. I'm not looking for disease. I'm looking for what's going on and if those numbers of yours are starting to shift outside of a holistic realm, not just looking at when your doctors give you blood work, they say, oh, you're in the normal range. We're not trying to be normal, right?
No.
So we want to be better than normal, because the average person in America is sick. So you're comparing us to sick people, and that's not what we want to do. Yes. So we want to make sure that we have optimal health. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a person from where they are, and I'm helping them get more out of their body and more out of their health by understanding who they are, understanding the values and why they do what they do, and how to shift and adjust. Because most times we think that we're fighting weight, or we're fighting, our high blood pressure and our diabetes. And what we're actually fighting are our habits. We're fighting the habits that we're used to, and the beliefs that we have around our health, and the belief that we have around our food and all of this stuff. And it's a mindset that has to shift. And that is the main reason on why I actually wrote the book, because in the first chapter, you have to master your mindset. You really have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And you really have to dig in, because I can change my food, right? But if I don't change my mindset around the food, I'm going to eventually go back to doing the same thing that I was doing, right? And I'll give you a good example. So someone who's went through, let's say, breast cancer, they've been through breast cancer and they're doing good. They're on the other side of it. Let's say 3-4 years on the other side of it. Generally, what happens is they start to shift back into their old habits.
Comfort
because
zone.
that is what they're used to, right? And then
Yeah.
they wonder why sometimes they end up with, going back down that road. So there are a couple different things that you have to do after you've had, let's say, breast cancer, right? You have to rebuild, repair, and recover yourself. So I created something called the 6 R's, right?
Okay.
So, or not, I shouldn't say created, but I work around something called the 6 R's. And it's rebuild, repair, recover, retain. You're going to reinforce and also re-educate. And something that I realized with those 6 is that you're always in one of those states in your health throughout your whole lifetime. You're
I'm
always
sorry.
in there.
Could you repeat those 6 R's, please?
Yep, definitely. Rebuild,
Rebuild,
repair,
repair,
recover,
recover,
re-educate,
re-educate,
reinforce,
reinforce,
and retain.
retain. Rebuild, repair, recover, re-educate, reinforce, and retain. So go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's good. But those were when I realized it, I'm like, wow, like we're always rebuilding. Like you have, let's say, a sprained ankle, a frozen shoulder. You're getting over, let's say you had the flu. Now you have to recover from the flu. You have to you just have to go through all of these 3. And then at some point you want to retain your health. There's a point where you may be good, right? Your health is good and you're just retaining where you are at that moment. And a lot of times we need to be re-educated about certain things. We have to be re-educated around how we think about our foods and how we're looking at our bodies and all of this stuff. So that was why it was like really important when I came across this. And I'm just like, wow, like this is something that we're not taught. And we have to really, really understand what we're doing and what's going on. We have to.
Okay. Look at Renee. She giving her input. Look at her. Did you read it?
Oh, okay. What did she say?
Look at her. Renee thinks she's bad. That's what it is. You see what she wrote?
No. Oh, I can't. It's so small on my phone. I can't see anything.
Oh, she said the importance of enzymes. The 6 R's: rebuild, repair, recover, dedicate, reinforce,
I love it.
and retain. Look at her.
Yeah. Well, now you know what? Since she's up there, and I already told you guys she's my sister, I'll just give you a quick story of her.
Yes.
So I'll give you a quick story. So my sister was the sister when I first started this thing that was like, listen, I was like, you got to change, you got to do this, you got to do this. And she was like, listen, that is you do you, let me do me. I am not doing that. That was her thing, right? And I'm like, okay. So I had to back off and let her do her thing. And eventually she came back and she was like, listen, I need you to help me, get my health together. Come and show me what I need to take out of my house. We're going to go grocery shopping and put everything in here that I need. And I'm like, I'm super excited because now my sister's on board with what I'm doing, right? And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. So, needless to say, she continued with this process. She works out like regularly, and she was doing this while she was going through, or she at some point started going through menopause. But when I tell you, she changed her physique during menopause and looks amazing. And it was just like, it's been beautiful. So she's now vegan, and she's been vegan for several years now. And I am so grateful. But I'll tell you this, and this will answer questions that I get a lot of times from people. They ask, how can I get my family to be on board?
Yes.
And my answer to that is you have to continue to do what you're supposed to do for your health journey. Well, what we try to do is drag people along with us, and they're not ready. But if you just keep doing what you're doing, they will see your results, and then they will eventually come along and start doing it. But we generally want them to come, but she had to come on her own. And because she came on her own, it's something that she has stuck with for years, and just like really, just killed it. She's killing it. That's, like I said, like I really am grateful that she shifted, but yeah, that was big.
That was really, really big. And then you got your family, everybody.
Got the family in on it.
Your son. I actually thought, now I'm gonna tell you, I actually thought it was just genetics. I just thought it was genetics. And now I'm finding out some family secrets up in here. everyone's eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not gonna say that some of it's not genetic, right? I'm not gonna say, because our genes play a huge part in what we're doing, right? But like I tell my clients, your genes play a huge part, but what we're doing is making sure that we get the good end of the stick. Everybody has cancer cells, right? It's whether you're turning them on or turning them off, right? So you have to know what you're doing. And that's why when my clients are working with me, they get really good results, because you now have somebody looking outside of you that can see things that you can't see because you're too close to it, right? You're too close to you, and you think that you're doing all the right things. And then you have somebody come out and then kind of take this. I do take a magnifying glass and kind of look into people's lives and what they're doing. But that's how we're going to get results. That's how they get the results that they need, is because they now can step back and see some things, or get notified of some things that they may not be doing. Everybody thinks they eat good. Right? Everybody's like, I eat good except for this or this or this. But when you look at it, and then when you have to start tracking it, right? When you're tracking it, and you're like, oh, I'm not doing as good as I thought I was doing.
Hey, I remember when I had clinics, I remember I used to be in my office all day and all night. And I remember I send the secretary, I said, just get me juices. And I will always have, remember all these juices that you think natural and they really not, got all those sugars in it. I did not realize, I'm sitting there like, keep myself hydrated, get Gatorade, because when I played sports, Gatorade was I always had a Gatorade. Didn't realize I had all that sugar in it. Always would get me an orange juice. Didn't even realize I had all that sugar in it. And I said, you know what? Just to have me something to eat, I have me a small stinker bar because it gives me energy. So I got, that was so counterproductive. Remember, I'm eating healthy and I'm staying in shape, but I'm not eating healthy because I'm ignorant to the fact that that's not healthy.
Absolutely. I will say this. I think that business owners, because of the stress and what we put ourselves through, and we will work like all night long sometimes, I created this program called Your Health is Your Business, because business owners were just kind of like, I'm too busy, and they're thinking that they're doing all these things. They're traveling, you're on a plane. Remember, being closer to the sun means you're getting more radiation, which means you might need to do a little bit more. But those are things that you learn when you're working with me, right? It's like there's certain things that you just don't understand or know because nobody's telling you, right? You're closer to the sun. How much traveling are you doing? You might need to look at getting something to protect yourself because you're, on your phone a lot, you're doing a lot of traveling. So there are magnets and different things that you can help with some of the radiation. But the business people are just like, they're doing the worst, right? And they're making money, they're investing, but they're not investing in themselves with their health, right? They're investing, but just not with their health. And I'm like, listen, you need me. You need to do some things differently. You got to understand, like, because you can make this money and then not be able to live in all of the glory that you're trying to develop for yourself in this very moment, right?
And it's funny because me, I always stayed in shape, and I'm like, what about the people who are way worse? And I had those health issues, and I'm like, I stay in shape. I don't drink, smoke, or any of that, and I exercise. And I'm like, man, if I'm having jacked up health issues and I'm relatively healthy, can imagine all these other people. But I wanted to ask some questions before we run out of time. And these are the questions dealing with female health, because one of the things I've learned, and again, I'm not a wellness coach or anything, but I did learn a little bit about fibroids. And I see fibroids have been a major issue when it comes to females of color. And a lot of times, I will tell them about fibroids, check them out, and how the pilots tend to even get them removed. But I always recommend fibroid therapy as opposed to getting them removed, because they can grow back. And so one of the things I noticed is about poor eating health, poor eating patterns. So let's talk about that.
So with fibroids, where I'll start is generally, one thing, we think that having a cycle for 5 or 7 days is normal, right?
That's hemorrhaging.
Right,
He
that's what it
wasn't
is.
taught
It's
that.
hemorrhaging.
And I'm a
So that
guy.
we before we even get into food, we got to start there, right?
Yeah.
We got to start with you got to understand that just because something is normal for you does not necessarily mean it's natural. So our cycle should be 2 to 4 days with light to
Yes.
moderate bleeding, no cramping,
Like
no
the
headaches,
moderate.
no PMS, all that good stuff. But we
Yes.
don't know that, and we don't know what to do differently. And generally, it's because our hormones are off or there's
Mhm.
an imbalance in the hormones, which is why we actually end up having fibroids down the line. But we're thinking that it's just something that started to happen as we got older, but we got to go back to when that
Yes.
cycle
Go
was
back.
off, right? So that cycle was off for a reason. And then we have to look at, okay, what was causing the cycle to be off? Were you an athlete? So were you your hormones off because you were an athlete? Were your hormones off because you were taking birth control? Like there were
Mhm.
so many different things that could have caused the hormones to be off, or just stress, right? Because kids get stressed too. So we have to look at all of that and start to shift that. So once we do that, we can look at the food. Now, food becomes a major issue when people are having the cramps and the headaches and all that stuff. We're eating
Mhm.
potato chips that have MSG in it. We're eating a lot of sugary foods.
Mhm.
We're not getting a lot of fruits and vegetables. So remember, we're supposed to eat 7 to 14 servings of fruit and vegetable a day. And most
Mhm.
of us rarely ever get in 5 a day.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm saying 5 because 5 is the standard American diet, which we call the STAT diet, right? 5
Mhm.
is their minimum, and we're supposed to be getting 7 to 14. If you're a pregnant woman, you want to get closer to 20. If you've been through cancer, you want to get a little bit more because you're trying to rebuild on a cellular level. So with all of this, we have to go back to looking at our foods, and if the foods are affecting us when we're younger, and affecting our cycle and how our cycle is going, we're going to have all the cramps and everything. And then eventually they're going to tell you that you need a hysterectomy or that your
Yeah.
thyroids are off, because we forget that the thyroids are connected to our hormones. So there's a direct connection to those. So there's so many things that we have to look at in addition to the foods when
Yeah.
it comes to fibroids.
Yeah. And I remember, and when we met, I used to always get fussed out. We make you think you know more about a woman than she. I'm a woman. I'm like, you don't know about your fibroids and all that stuff. I always get it. I'm like, you get it. I'm telling you, listen, don't let them cut you.
Yeah.
You can do this. You
Yeah.
got to watch what you eat. You got to understand those hormone levels and all that. We're making, then they go check. Oh, I'm sorry. Because again,
Okay.
we forget that you have people who have levels of expertise. In addition to people have different interests and what they do and what they're proficient in. And it's almost like a person who did, if he was, let's say he was white and doing African American studies.
Yeah.
He or she knows it, and you remember historically, the gynecologists were men.
Yeah.
And so things changed. And so,
Things change.
there's information out there. And
Right.
me being, a life coach very early before he
Yeah,
got
maybe
going.
it was the way you said it, Suave. Maybe you said it.
You're not going to, people
Maybe you said it
they
at the
don't want to
wrong
hear.
time just the wrong time.
Oh, okay. It's on me, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna
And
say
so,
that.
and one of the things I wanted to ask you before we go off, these apple cider, is that something that we should do on a regular basis?
So again, you keep trying to get me with this whole, should we all do this on a regular basis? It
Remember, I'm
depends
just
on.
asking questions because
No, I
it's
get it,
not
but
just about
I'm
me.
gonna always preface it with that, because I think that's again where we get our misinformation and
Yes.
miseducation, because we think that we can do everything that somebody else says because somebody said it was good. So
Yeah.
that's why, again, understanding where you are and where you're trying to go, and then what you're doing and what your past history looks like when it
Yes.
comes to whatever particular thing we're talking about is really, really important. But apple cider vinegar is good for a lot of different things. So for many things, whenever I get a cold, my children already know, like, or if they get a cold, they already know we're getting some cilantro, we're getting some bee pollen, even though I'm vegan, and we're gonna have some water and we're gonna add some apple cider vinegar to that, because it's really, really good for helping the body, to recover. So
Uh-huh.
absolutely, I use apple cider vinegar for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
If I get a sunburn, I'm using it on my face. So I use it for a lot of things. Yeah, to help with that sunburn and all that good stuff. So it helps with a lot of different things.
Okay. So before we close out, one of our audience, they wanted to know where can they get the book? So
Gotcha.
Tell them.
So the book is actually available on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Noble, and also at Walmart, I believe. And of course, on our website as well. So on Real Wellness, C-O-R-P, Real Wellness, CORP.com.
CORP.
So realwellnesscorp.com. You can get the book from there as well. The book is $15 wherever you get it. And hopefully the audio will be coming out really soon. It's taking me a little longer than I would like.
Oh yeah. And when you do that, I do remember a conversation. Do you remember? My voiceover for my books. I think that was your person who's supposed to be doing some stuff, so I can have my books audio. I think I remember that. Huh?
Who was supposed to do it?
No, you supposed to connect me to someone.
Oh, I can connect you to her. But yeah, the reason why mine is not done is because I'm doing the voice. I'm gonna do the whole thing. My publisher was like, yeah, you need to do it yourself. You can't get anybody else to read it. And I was trying to get somebody to read it. So yeah, it's gonna be me you hear in your ear. It's gonna be me you hear in your ear. So
okay. Listen, it's been a amazing experience. You are a suave, man. I'm telling you.
Thank you very much.
And,
Thank you very much.
And feel free to come back because we had a little glitch, and so since we had that 3-minute glitch, I think you owe me another 60 minutes. I
got you. Listen, we haven't even talked about the 8 essential lifestyle functions, right? So there's so many conversations that we
got to come back.
NLP, that's where we met. So we got to talk about that neuro-linguistic program. So there's so many different things that we could talk about. Absolutely.
Okay.
I love it.
So again, thank you guys. Thank you for coming in, Brother Wally, my cousin, Sabrina, everyone, our wonderful, very special guest, Miss Ta-Wanda Wilson. And so thank you guys. And just remember, join us each and every week, 8:30 Wednesdays, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if you think you learned something tonight from our show, just remember Cash App at Suave R Walker. That's Cash App Suave R Walker. So just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you. I mean it. Bye-bye.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice, got voice, you heard? Programs like this are made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, iBlister Digital Media Creative, and from contributions to NPNTv from viewers like you. Thank you.